Welcome back to part 2.
Alright,
so we made it out of the building alive.
The others
and on
didn't
foot
seem
to
to
this
like
point.
the idea,
We've
stating
decided
that
to take the
maneuvering bikes between
motorcycles.
the infected could be tricky, with 2 or 3 riders wedged on each
But
one.
the group has
The
their
rest
own
of the
idea.
group decided that we would take the Jeep. We approached the Jeep and peered inside. To our dismay, we saw a pair of infected
Of
inside,
course, there just had
desperately
to be
clawing at the
zombies
windows
inside
in
the
an
Jeep.
attempt to escape.
It just had to be infected. Alrighty.
I made my suggestion.
Okay, let's try
but the
another
others
vehicle,
didn't
guys.
listen.
It's not worth
They
it.
really wanted that Jeep, and a few zombies weren't going to stand in their way.
It's not worth it taking that risk.
The others immediately flung
Eaten
open the
alive.
doors and started trying to drag the zombies out. However, without my help, they were having serious trouble.
I'm not going to
and it
intervene
seemed
and
like
get
they would
bit.
most likely end up dead.
I know
if
as soon
didn't
as I intervene, I'm going to end up getting bitten, so it's not worth it. I don't want to take that chance. I'm just sticking to the original plan, taking the motorbikes and just getting out of here.
I headed towards the motorbike and didn't look back.
Never look back, guys.
I climbed
live with
aboard my
regret.
chosen vehicle and sped
Death
away
is
from the car
inevitable
park
in
onto the
zombie
main street.
apocalypse.
By then, the roads
just
were
gotta
littered
survive
with
and ride
bodies
it
and
out.
car wreckages. It was all I could do to
Just
avoid them.
cruise down the highway.
Everywhere I looked, I could see only scenes of carnage. It seemed that those not
Zipping down
already
the
infected
highway.
were fighting a losing battle. My thoughts
Past
quickly
is
turned to
behind
my
us.
wife. I tried to tell myself that she would be okay, but that didn't stop the horrible feeling in the pit of my stomach.
Gotta
I knew I
back
had to get home as soon as possible.
and
In the
save
distance, I
damsel
could
in
see a gas
distress.
station with a few of the zombies on the forecourt. I quickly glanced down at the fuel gauge and saw that I only had about a half a
Well,
tank
half a
remaining.
tank is more than enough. I'm just gonna keep going. Gotta get home as soon as possible. I'm not gonna risk stopping to get supplies or refuel for
I
gas.
decided
and
not to
end up
stop for gas or
getting ambushed
supplies
by
due
a
to the
horde
potential
that comes out
danger.
of nowhere.
Half a gas
Kills
tank was
me.
more than enough to get home anyway.
Yeah.
I continued down the road before turning onto the main highway out of town.
Alright, so we're doing good
However,
so
it
far.
wasn't long before I noticed a mass of vehicles blocking the road ahead. The combined sound of all the honking, shouting, and screaming was deafening. Nobody had kept to their lanes,
typical.
and cars were packed so closely
gosh.
together that not even a bicycle could squeeze through.
I thought the motorbikes could get through the
The
traffic
blockage
jam. Like, I was
extended so far
expecting a
down the
traffic
road that
jam,
it was
guys, but I
literally
didn't
impossible to
expect it
discern
to
what
be
the
blocked
cause
up
was.
so badly that I can't even get my motorcycle through there. Dang it. There's probably a lot of honking going on. Beep beep. Get out of the effing way. Stick to your frickin' lanes. The usual stuff. So I'm gonna take an alternate route and get home.
I decided that there was no point in waiting for the
I'm
traffic
not
to
gonna wait
clear,
around forever.
and that without the Jeep, driving off the road was just too dangerous. I headed back the way I came and turned off the highway at the first exit. I soon found a safer, albeit less direct route home.
Don't worry, we'll get
As
there.
I sped down the disturbingly quiet back road, my mind began to wander. Without the distraction of imminent danger, I began to remember the horrific scenes I had witnessed just an hour ago. Images of mangled corpses flashed before my eyes, and my head began to spin. I swerved onto the wrong side of the road, just as another vehicle pulled
gosh,
out
it's
from a
always
concealed
something.
entrance. I braked sharply, but it was too late to avoid a collision. Amazingly, I wasn't seriously injured, but my ride was badly
Okay,
damaged.
so my ride's completely destroyed, yet I don't even have a scratch on me. Is it luck?
I realized that without transport, I would have to walk the rest of the way home.
You can see
Not
the
wanting to
irony
waste
in
any
it.
more precious time, I continued my journey on foot. After a half an hour of walking, I began to recognize my surroundings, and knew that I would soon be home. There were several different routes I could take.
We're on the home stretch. Okay, I'm gonna take the train line. It seems like
I
the
decided to
safest.
get off the main road, as it would undoubtedly be dangerous in such a heavily
That's
populated
close to
area.
home.
I decided to follow the train line instead, since it ran not far from my house and would be totally deserted. Sure enough, I didn't see another soul. I finally arrived in my neighborhood, exhausted. I knew that my house was just a little further down the street,
Nice.
but the area was swarming with the infected.
Just within sight.
Most of them seemed distracted by what few survivors remained, but I knew it was only a matter of time before they noticed me. I remembered about a
Infected
small alleyway
bastards
nearby,
everywhere.
one that would take me most of the way home in relative safety. I entered the alley, and as expected, it seemed totally devoid of
It's
life.
never as easy as it
However,
seems.
as I walked past a large dumpster, an
Probably
infected
walking-
old man
Oh,
stepped
I
out of
knew
the
it.
shadows
I knew
and
it
tried
was
to
a
grab
trap.
me.
This had to be an old bastard there. Waiting to lunge at me, trying to kill me. Probably gonna grab his neck. I'd grab his neck and just push him away. I don't want to grab his torso or punch him in the face and risk getting cut up in the hand or bitten.
I grabbed him by the neck, realizing that he'd be unable to bite me. I pushed him away as hard as I could, and he stumbled backward. I had bought myself valuable time, but it wouldn't take long for the creature to regain its balance and come at me again. I turned to run back the way I had came, only to see that another group of them had followed and were now blocking my retreat. My only
This
hope
is
was
not
to try
good,
and get
guys. We're
past
in
the
a bit of
lone
a sticky
infected.
situation here. What to do? What to do? Grab a brick and just hit him in the head. If he gets close
Grabbing a
enough,
brick,
and then just
I waited just long enough for the
bolt out
infected
of
to
there.
get close before smashing it into his face.
wham!
There was a sickening crack as his jawbone fractured and blood sprayed from his mouth. My former neighbor fell to the ground, and before he could get back up, I was able to run past. I sped down the alley and back onto the street. When I looked over my shoulder, there was no sign of my pursuers. I could see my house now, just 100 feet or so away. My heart sank when I saw yet another group of infected wandering aimlessly
gosh.
between me and my goal.
So close. Go through the rear garden. I'm gonna do the ninja thing
Too
again.
dangerous to
Hopefully
carry
it
on
worked
down
out
the
for me
street.
before. Hopefully it
I
works
went
for
around
me
the back
again.
of one of the neighbors' houses and climbed over the fence into their garden. It was tiring, but I
Jump
carried
through the
on,
garden
scrambling
like a
over the
ninja.
fences until I got to my own backyard. As I approached the house, I noticed the glass in the back door had been smashed
course.
and the door left
Let me
slightly
guess, there's
ajar.
gonna be a looter.
I
for all
was
I know.
terrified for my wife's safety.
Grab a weapon. I'm not going in unarmed.
I realized that
Better to
whoever
save-
had broken
sorry,
into
gotta
the
take those
house
few
could
extra
still be in
seconds.
there, and without a weapon,
So I don't
wouldn't
regret
be
it
able
later.
to help my wife. I headed over to the shed and checked my pockets. Luckily, I still had my keys and was able to remove the padlock and open the door.
Nice.
Inside, there was a wide range of tools to choose from.
Ooh. Alright. Shed of Doom. Let's see what we got here. Axe, sledgehammer, definitely gonna go
I
with
took the
crowbar.
crowbar, knowing that it would be easy to swing indoors, yet still heavy enough to cave in a human
And it has
skull.
multiple uses, so I'm a little bit knowledgeable at this whole
With my weapon in
zombie
hand,
survival
I left the shed and walked back to my house.
I know just enough to
Before I could enter,
get
I
me
discovered
by
why
through
the back door had been left
an
ajar.
outbreak.
A teenage looter emerged from the house carrying my television, obviously intent on profiting from the crisis. When he saw me, he dropped the TV
Alright, so
and pulled out
instinct
a
is
large
pretty much just
kitchen
telling
knife.
me to kill him right away.
At that
but
moment, I couldn't tell
I
which
don't
one
know.
of us was more afraid.
if I get an option, I'm just gonna let him go. I got more important things.
I told the looter that I wasn't going
I
to
need to
hurt
take
him
care of-
and that he could take the TV and go. He didn't bother to pick it back up. Instead, he ran over to the nearby fence
What a lazy
and climbed
man.
over
This is
into the neighbor's
being
garden.
Lazy bastard. You might as well.
Having
You
dealt
looted
with
it.
the
Might as well
looter,
just
I
take it
walked
with
in
you.
through the
It's not
back
like I need
door.
a TV for
I was
anything.
relieved to finally be safely indoors, but I couldn't rest yet. Not until I was certain my wife
Half
was
attempt
okay.
at a poor robbery. Okay, I'm just gonna lock the back door. It takes a few seconds. Buys me maybe a few more seconds if I need them.
I quickly shut the back door and turned the key. With the glass broken, it wouldn't keep out the infected long, but at least it would buy me some time. I began searching the ground floor for my wife. As I came into the living room, I saw that John from next door was standing there.
John.
He had his back to me and was
Yes,
clearly
I
oblivious
like
to my
it.
presence. His shirt was covered in red stains.
Never gotten along with my next door neighbor. I'm gonna see. Nah. Should I see if he's okay to just bash his skull in? Nah, I'm gonna attack him.
John was surely infected.